The success of the Lionesses has really projected women's football in the UK in a massive way, bringing many more people to the sport. But of course, there are a lot of people who have been participating in women's football for a long time throughout the whole of the country, not least in our own area here in Stockton. Welcome to the Full Steam Ahead podcast, where I'm joined by Lucy and Vicki, who've been stalwarts of the women's football scene in our area. Welcome to the podcast, both of you. It's good to see you here, and of course we met each other in the past as well. Which school was it we met at? Was it Norton School?
Bewley Primary School.
Bewley Primary
in Billingham,
School, yeah. What were you doing there? Do you want to remind me when we were there?
So it was the International Women's Day, so we'd gone in to do some football with the girls, so all the girls through the school got a slot with us through the day to play some football, and that was through Hartlepool United Community Sports Foundation, where I work as my day job.
So I remember that was a really great day. I had a chat with a lot of the pupils at the school, and they were getting great support in playing football. It was really inclusive. But I wonder, was it like that when you started to play football, Lucy, Vicki, when you were kind of really starting to get interested? Did you find that you had that sort of support?
Not in schools, definitely not. No, it was always a case of playing with the boys. I was lucky enough that my first football team, when I was about 8 years old, was a girls' team. But that was the first ever time I'd even heard of girls' football, and that was over at Norton and Stockton Ancients back then. I know that Vicki actually played in a boys' team when she started.
Yeah,
Did you both play in the same club as well?
Yeah, in adults football. I'm a little bit older than Lucy.
Right, yeah.
But so when I started, they didn't have girls' teams at kind of 8. I had to play in a boys' team. So when Stockton Town was Hartburn Juniors.
Right.
That's how old I am. So I had to join a boys' team with some of the boys from school. And I remember my dad took me, and we used to play all our matches at Saltersgill in Middlesbrough. And the big thing that sticks out for me, the biggest change I would say, is there was no toilets there. And so for all the boys, that's fine. You need a toilet. You just go wherever you want. But like, girls' needs were never considered, because I was the only one on the field of hundreds of kids, and I was the only girl on the field, and it was a big thing. Like, the other coaches were like, "Oh my God, they've got a girl," and it's nothing like that now. That's the biggest thing for me.
It must. I mean, I think you must have been like really confident to be able to feel like you could do that. You know, confident in your own playing ability, but confident in yourself as well. But I imagine there might have been lots of girls, maybe girls that you knew as well, who would have really liked to sort of get on the field, but maybe just felt like it would be too hard for them to sort of overcome that.
The biggest thing is probably, like Lucy said there, you didn't do it at school. So nowadays, so when we were in Bewley Primary School, there was the girls who played for the teams, and then the other girls who didn't play for the teams, they'd still played before. Yeah. So they could all play a little bit, because they'd all had that experience at school. And Miss Gell at Bewley, she's great. Like, the girls get loads of opportunities, as are a lot of the schools in Stockton. But I think that's the big thing. Whereas when I was at school, I always remember once we did a festival when I was in year 6. This will have been 2002. There was a festival, and it was a football day, and other schools came to our school and things like that. And then the teachers decided, we'll do a little girls' match. So they picked a couple of girls from each school to do a match, and there was only me on the pitch that actually knew what they were doing.
Oh, really?
Because I was the only one that played.
What it was even?
No, because if you didn't play football, you had no idea, because there wasn't that. Like, now the gap's been bridged a little bit. So boys who didn't play for teams had the experience of playing.
Yeah, they would have been doing it in their
school.
PE lessons. I mean, I remember that. So all those boys went off and played football. To be honest, thinking about it, I'm not really sure what the girls did. Maybe like netball or hockey or something like that.
So now at least girls who don't play for teams still get to play football.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So it is inclusive, and it is for everyone. And it's a case of, you don't have to be an amazing footballer and play for a team to enjoy playing football. And I think that's the biggest thing for me now.
So Lucy, Vicki said she was a bit older than you. Like, I'm probably a bit older than you, Vicki. But had things improved a bit when you came along and you were starting to? Was it more inclusive?
I don't think you're that much older than me.
Am I not?
But
let's not get into a row into it. Oh, happy birthday for tomorrow. Yeah.
So when I think about back then, I think that the girls who knew how to play football, even if maybe they weren't on teams, they were all tomboys. So it took a certain type of character to be playing football themselves.
Yes.
Whereas nowadays, socially, it's so different. You've got your girly girls who also play. So your football teams aren't just full of, little tomboys. They're full of all sorts of different types of girls, because everybody's getting that opportunity to play now and to try it. And it's not all about having to play with the boys in order to try and get confidence. So the opportunities now are so much wider. And that's a lot of the work that I did and I pushed into over the last 10 years is providing a platform for girls to come and try in an environment that was inviting, not an environment that pushed them back.
So you started up your own organisation to do that as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's changed a little bit in the recent years, but I started 12 years ago and I started with toddler and baby football and infant football to begin with. And then I was running that at the sports complex at Norton where I was playing at the time with Vicki. And then I noticed that, and I thought, even though I started playing football here, there's no younger girls teams at the minute. And I thought, there's a real gap there. Like, I want to be able to provide the local girls with the opportunity that I had, is to come and join Norton at 6, 7, 8, 9 years old and be involved in football. So that was the start of the girls' development that I started to do. And once I got that going, over the next kind of 2 or 3 years, I realised that a lot of clubs in the area had this gap. And then it was a sought-after setup. Yeah. So then I ended up running the same girls' development for different clubs in the area. So you've
rolled that out across the whole of our area?
Yeah, so then I was over in East Cleveland, I was in Hartlepool, in Middlesbrough and in Stockton. So I was running one each night of the week, basically, to try and generate girls' teams for the local grassroots clubs. The FA did eventually catch up.
Right.
And
so you were leading the way for the FA.
So I feel
That's
like
really good.
Because I was on the ground, I feel like I noticed before the FA what was going on. And then about 3 or 4 years later, the FA brought in the Wildcats programme, which basically was what I was already doing, but which was amazing when they brought it in because it trained the clubs how to do this themselves and it funded the clubs to do it themselves. So then now, girls' football has risen so much, not just thanks to the Wildcats programme, but that's been a huge thing because a lot of the people who work in the grassroots clubs are men, like they are. Yes. They don't know how to run sessions for little girls to make them feel welcome. Yes. So then what programmes like the Wildcats did was it trained the people in the clubs to be able to run these sessions themselves, and that was rolled out nationwide.
And I think that training is really important as well for volunteers, isn't it? To encourage everyone to want to be part of the sport. And you do that now, Vicki, obviously through the work that you do with Hartlepool United as well. So your interest has become your job as well, to a great extent.
I think, like Lucy said about the Wildcats and stuff, the FA tend to do programmes and put grants in place for different programmes. So we have things through like the Premier League Primary Stars at Hartlepool. So the FA put the Premier League, put funding into that, and one of the strands is doing girls-only football clubs, either after school, lunchtime. So the opportunity for them to play within school, if that's all that they want to do, then obviously the funding from the FA for things like Wildcats, and there's an older one, Squad Girls, which is for older girls to get into football for the first time. So I think that they're starting to put the funding into the places where kind of it's most needed.
So there's really great opportunities now for girls to participate in football in our area, that's for certain. But I mean, when I don't know if I mentioned this to you last time we met, but when I hear you talking about Hartlepool, I have a bit of a soft spot for Hartlepool, obviously. So football, everyone will know football is a really big, important part of everyone's life in our area. And I think most people watching this podcast might well be Borough fans. But when I was growing up, it was always Hartlepool United I used to go along to, largely because it was kind of quite easy to get to. And I was a little bit masochistic, enjoying going along to this sort of when there's just a couple of thousand of us on a wet Tuesday evening. But thinking back to that, a lot of that was sort of like young lads my age, maybe their dads were there as well. But supporting's a really big part of it as well, and a great way to widen participation. So, are we finding that there's like more women and girls coming along? I mean, to watch matches, midweek matches, away matches, all of that sort of stuff as well.
Hartlepool especially. I think you worked with Hartlepool, didn't you, with one of your sessions? Was it? You had a
Seating crew? It was over there.
So there was really not much when Lucy started to go into Hartlepool area. There wasn't much for girls at all. Hartlepool now for girls grassroots football is phenomenal. There's so many really great clubs. Loads of girls playing. So every school that I go into coach now, you see girls with their kits on from their teams, their jackets, their coats. And I think because the passion for football within kind of the female environment of Hartlepool is bigger, we're seeing that at the Hartlepool United matches. So you see more girls there. We'll have girls as mascots, ball girls. And what we actually do as well, the Sports Foundation, is at half-time we do a schools penalty shootout competition. So the schools will bring a team of 5, play against another team of 5. They do a penalty shootout. The winning team progresses to the next round. So what we actually introduced this season for the first time is separate competitions for girls and boys.
All right, great.
Because what you find is that if it's just a mixed competition, some schools might only have one girl in who wants to be in the penalty team. Yeah. So now we have 2 separate competitions. So we're having full teams of girls come, and they're having penalty shootouts against other schools. The crowd are behind them. Girls who are younger than those girls on the pitch can see that, and it's inspirational for them, and they want to do that.
And actually, it was always, I mean, for me, it's always like a real highlight of the match at Hartlepool, because, like, you know, if you go into the match at Hartlepool, there aren't always a lot of highlights, or certainly there weren't in the 1990s. I'm not casting any aspersions on the team right now. But actually, at half time, when the local school kids came out to do that penalty shootout, you're right, the crowd was behind them, everyone really wanting to encourage them, and to know that there's girls' teams from local schools participating in that now as well is just really great and really encouraging. And presumably it's really good for local clubs as well. So we've talked a bit about the grassroots clubs like Norton and so on, or we've got, you know, Billingham, Stockton Town in our area. But if clubs can attract a broader base of fans, then that's got to be helpful for the clubs too. And do you find you know, so Lucy, you know, the girls that are participating in your programme, presumably their parents are quite interested in football as well. Maybe they take them along to watch matches locally too, as well, some of the bigger clubs as well.
Yeah, well, I think the initial interest, especially when they're super young, comes from the parents. You know, I don't think that there's many 3-year-olds saying, "Can I go to a football session?" They don't know it exists. But yeah, and I know that a few of the girls who come to sessions, they often talk about going to watch the Middlesbrough women. That I know that they go along to the Norton women's games, and I've noticed also that the Middlesbrough women are playing in the stadium sometimes as well now, which I think is brilliant. So yeah, I do think girls are watching more football. I don't think they watch as much as the boys watch. I think that an interest in football from girls comes from the enjoyment of playing rather than watching it on TV, which might be different for the boys, where I think it can come the other way around. Or
playing FIFA on the Xbox or
or
whatever it is,
FIFA,
you know.
You don't really get girls who play FIFA or like things like that. It's totally different in that respect. But if we can get more women watching, I went to a Norton game a few years ago. I can't remember who you were playing, but I went along to watch, and the amount of girls that were watching, and they all had their little Norton kits on, like, and it was brilliant to see so many younger players, especially from the same club, wearing the kit that the ladies are wearing, all watching the game. It's brilliant and something we need to push a bit more, I think.
And I mean, I'd agree with that. I think you're right, if they've got that sort of inspiration in terms of their clubs, but we've got quite a lot of really great women footballers who are role models now for young women as well. And I wonder, do you think that can also help as well? Does that make a difference? Because again, you see that with the lads that sort of idolise various different players and so on.
That's huge.
Do you think has that had an impact, do you think?
That's huge.
Like the Lionesses or whatever?
Especially the success of the Lionesses. I was at the final at Wembley a few years ago.
Oh, gosh, what was that like? Do you want to tell us about it?
It was the best football match I've ever been to. I mean, I left and I was dripping with sweat head to toe. I had no voice. It was amazing. And the ticket for that final to Wembley was £25.
That's incredible, isn't it? Yeah, to see like a world-class match like that.
There was loads of young girls there, and I just think, wow, to have that experience at 8 or 9 years old and to be able to look at these players and for them to be your role model, like how motivated and how much motivation and inspiration is that little kid going to get? And that's something that our generation never really got.
No, I was going to say that. I think that as much as the little kids loved that when England won, I think it meant more to people our age because them kids just don't get it.
And it's our generation on the pitch, isn't it? They're all our age.
So like the young girls now, they just think that's normal. That happens all the time, which is lovely, isn't it? But at the same time, it wasn't
all
like that.
All them ladies on the pitch were playing with boys teams when they started and went through them struggles. And then
like Jill Scott used to drive to Everton to train and then drive back and work and
it not being socially acceptable that girls are playing football and it would be like, oh, you play football, whereas it's not. There's a little bit of that left, but not so much. And it was also like that as a female coach 10 years ago.
Really,
and that is getting better, definitely getting better.
But yeah, you're right, because they did live that. Like them players, like your Jill Scott, your Steph Hortons, people like that, they sacrificed all sorts to become footballers.
Yeah.
But it could have been for very little, as in terms of, wasn't really a full-time career. So they gave up everything for this passion that they had.
They're the
to
real
become a
trailblazers,
footballer.
aren't they?
Yeah.
It's that passion, commitment.
Part of me, I'm really glad that it's a full-time job for people and it's a career and it's like a prospect for young girls to be footballers. But I kind of also miss that, how it used to be.
Oh, I know what you mean. I mean, there were discussions like that when athletics went professional and rugby union went professional and so on. You gain something, but you also leave something behind as well. So like, there can be that sort of moment, can't it?
It was very much like Lucy said, like years ago, it was the tomboys and they did it because they just, for the love of football and they wanted to fit in. And it's great that we've come this way and there's so many more people playing. But yeah, there is something where you just think, oh, like I miss the days when maybe
it's the commercialism of everything.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's gone commercial and it's very social media hyped and that. But I think it's really important that we don't forget our roots of where we came from and these trailblazers that started this off and we don't ever lose those values that women's football had.
So you're right, the trailblazers and the values, I think that's a really important point as well. But also, I'm thinking about what you were saying as well about the £25 ticket. So it may be that we're in quite a nice place now where there's still that real connectivity with the grassroots, but the men's game's not as accessible as that. For if you can't afford the ticket prices and so on, then that accessibility is much harder, and it would be a shame if we lost that connection. I think with the women's game.
I remember being like working for the FA one game when England women played at Hartlepool United, and that was 10 years ago. Now, I think pretty much all the games are at Wembley now. So I've watched England women at Hartlepool United, at Doncaster Rovers, at Rotherham. It's gone bigger than that now.
It has gone bigger than that.
Yeah, but I kind of like that as well. It was very accessible, but I also think that with England men, like pretty much all of England men's games are at Wembley.
Well, do you know, I was just thinking it was, I remember that period when Wembley was being rebuilt and the men's team went on the road around the country.
Yeah, I went to St James's Park to watch them there.
So did I. We were possibly in there at the same time. That was great, actually. So again, for me, that was much more accessible because I couldn't have got down to London, but I could get to St James's Park. But the other side of it, of course, as well is, I mean, like me, I'm sure you share an ambition that the women players will be rewarded in the same way as the men as well. They're doing the same job ultimately, and that they would get that same kind of recognition and reward in the same way too, particularly when there's such a strong fan base.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that I think that England women shouldn't play at Wembley and England men should. I think that the football, any gender, all levels, should be accessible to people. Now, I'm not saying every kid is even going to be able to afford to go and watch England if it's at St James's Park, but what I'm saying is that if it moves around the country, kids have a chance to go. Like if you want to take your kid to Wembley yesterday to watch England men, how much is that going to cost you? So I think for men's and women's football, it's really important that we don't forget where it came from. Yeah.
Well, everyone ultimately starts out at a grassroots club somewhere, don't they, really? It's all about being embedded in the local community. And I think even more so now there's this resurgence in women's football, and I say resurgence because of course it was really popular. Decades ago it was incredibly popular sport, and still is now. And then it was banned. Yes. Yeah, I know, which really shows you, I think, that you can't guarantee that progress continues ultimately. Just this week, actually, I was at a conference in London where I was talking about equality in industry. It was like offshore wind, actually the offshore wind industry, and I think, because there are issues there, I think that actually women's sport can be a real trailblazer for equality throughout the whole of the country. So the comment that you made, Vicki, about the lack of availability of facilities when you were growing up, it's like that now in the offshore wind industry, and it was like that in the steelworks when I first started there as well, and it was just as unacceptable then as it is now. So I do really think that women's football, it's more than just football. Actually, it's about what it means for equality in our society, really.
I mean, one of the things when you're talking about kind of making places accessible, the FA have just, I say just, it's still ongoing at the moment, but there's a grant scheme being open that clubs can apply for, and it's just been extended down the women's pyramid now to make football facilities more accessible for females. So that's like the players and the officials and the supporters as well. So at Norton and Stockton, we've just applied for it, or rather we've just had the work done to make the changing rooms more female friendly.
Great.
So we've had all the showers done out, shower cubicles. Then they've put in additional toilets for the spectators, so there's more female toilets because we were having queues out the door. Because like Lucy said, we have the little girls from our club who all come watch. They all get a free season ticket to come and watch like our ladies team. So there's like one female toilet, but most of our supporters are female. So like we've used the grant to change that. So it's just about making our facilities more accessible.
Just done that in Parliament as well, actually. So there weren't very many women's toilets in Parliament, but there's a lot of women MPs now. So just in the last couple of months, some of the men's toilets have been converted to women's toilets. About time too.
So it's catching up.
It's catching up.
Society's playing catch up, I think.
They are playing catch up. You're right. Yeah. One of the things we've not really talked about is your playing career. You know what you were like on the pitch. And Vicki, when we were outside, you said that you and Lucy were sort of like chalk and cheese. What does that mean then? So what were you like on the pitch? So Lucy, what position did you play in?
So I played in defence, and I was your small, quick left back or right back. I would say. Vicki was a little bit different for me on the pitch, so I'd say.
Yeah, well, I used to play centre midfield, but I'm a bit older now, so I play centre back now. So probably since our new manager came in, we've started like recording all the statistics and stuff. So I've nearly played 250 games in the last sort of 8 years. There's more before then, but we don't have all the statistics. So started centre midfield. Now I play centre back. I'm more your organiser, tackler, sometimes red cards, yellow cards, things like that.
Yeah. We're getting to the grips with it now, aren't we? Really?
Yeah. I'd say very defensive minded.
Yeah, that's a polite way of putting assertive, should we say, assertive on the pitch?
I think that's a good word. Good word for me, I think.
I'm a winner, I play to win.
So now that you're getting a little bit older, then do you find, Lucy, you can get around Vicki no problem at the back? Just,
Well, I haven't played with Vicki for a very long time.
Do you still play still or not?
I'm not playing this season. I played last season for Darlington, but I'm focusing in on the business at the moment because there's a lot going on with that. It's consumed my life, let's say, for now, but it won't be forever. But hopefully one day I'll play again. Yeah.
So you're still training, still keeping your hand in, as it were, then? Yeah.
I'm not training, no. I'm not doing it. I'm just working at the minute. And renovating.
Yeah, and a lot of your work as well, like we talked about, is encouraging, or providing training opportunities for young girls as well. And there might well be parents or girls and women listening to this podcast who might like to find out a bit more about where they can access those opportunities or get in touch with you. So how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, if anyone's interested in getting their little ones involved, sessions start from age 2. They go up through to the end of primary school, so up to year 6. They can find me on Instagram and Facebook as kind of our main place. So you just search Find Your Feet and Kiddie Kicks HQ on either platform and give me a message. That'll come straight through to me and I can get people signed up if they would like to give it a go.
That's great. And when you've got young girls coming along, you mentioned a bit earlier that their parents have brought them along because they're really interested in football, and the girls might not have much idea about it. I know it's exactly the same for the boys as well. But of course, once you do get that interest, and you're looking at we were talking about some of the role models as well. So do you find that there are particular players that the young girls are sort of idolising or really wanting to emulate on the pitch, whether they're from the men's game or the women's game?
When they're super young, so if they're like 4 or 5 and maybe they've had their first little bit of interest in football and then they come to their first football session, and it might be mixed in with boys at that age, but their coach is a girl, sometimes that's enough.
Yes.
That's enough to be inspired to keep playing, even if they're not watching football on the TV. And then once they've completed the foundation stages with me, girls often then go to grassroots clubs in the area and continue their girls' football. And then the way that the clubs are now set up is that they have these full girls sections that are run by female coaches, and they have ladies' teams which they can go and watch and then be inspired by them. I think the Lionesses is huge. They televise so much now, and they've had so much success that they'll have the kits on. With the names on the back, which you weren't seeing 5 years ago.
But it's really lovely, though, to think that there are those local role models. And I think that's something that, so people who are volunteering to be coaches, that I think maybe sometimes they don't realise that there is this big responsibility, because when you do that, you become a role model for young people as well, don't they? I mean, you must find this as well, Vicki, when you're working with young people at Hartlepool. I mean, you will become young people's role model as well. Is that kind of on your mind?
Yeah, I think more so, not so much the stuff we do at Hartlepool, but the stuff that we do at Norton, which is like the voluntary side of what I do. Like, we created this model where we have 2 women's teams. So our women's first team play at Tier 4, so we're playing against teams like Leeds United, Blackburn Rovers. So it's a good level of football. We're probably, what we say, punching above our weight as a grassroots club playing against these teams. But like Lucy said, that the girls, they look up to those players that are playing for Norton. So this model that we created is all of our junior girls teams. So we have kids from 6-year-old all the way through to under 18s. Almost all of our teams are coached by people who play within the ladies section or coach within the ladies section. So then it creates this kind of togetherness, and the girls all get the free season ticket and they come and watch us play. So like, they're seeing their coaches playing against what they class as professional teams, albeit they aren't. But the kids don't see it that way. So the kids just see this as an opportunity for them, and their aim then is to play for Norton first team and beyond. So
so your players are coaching the younger teams as well, and that's presumably helping them with their coaching qualifications.
Yeah, so we always put the anyone who wants to volunteer from the women's team to coach the teams, we put them through the coaching badges.
That's great, isn't it?
We have a really good support system. So I sit on the committee as head of women and girls football. Everybody supports each other. Everybody knows each other. So we do like football camps in the half term for girls only. We get 30 to 40 girls come in, and the under 8s are friends with the under 16s, and it creates that step. And then we've got girls who started coming to Lucy's sessions at Norton when they were 5. Are 16 now, and they're coaching at them sessions now. And it's just that thing all the way through of the continuity and it is inspirational for the girls.
Well, how you can cross over age groups, that's something sport does really well, doesn't it? But I imagine when you were starting out, you wouldn't have had those role models either locally in the grassroots or maybe even nationally. So, so Lucy, was there anyone in particular that inspired you? Who was your role model when you were?
Well, I actually started playing football because I was just copying off my brother. Because
your brother was your role model in a way, then?
Well, kind of. Like, he didn't continue playing, but I did. But when I was younger, I just copied everything that he did. So then when he went through his football phase, so did I. But for me, it stuck.
It stuck.
And then I just enjoyed playing so much. And as I mentioned earlier, some girls don't really watch football that much. I didn't really when I was a kid, but I absolutely loved playing. And then I just remember seeing a poster on the whiteboard at primary school where it was come to Norton Girls, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I went down and they were doing a whole recruitment thing. And then I ended up playing there from 8 years old all the way through till when I was 24. So I was there for the long haul. And then I took a break from football to focus on the business, much like I'm doing now. But and to be part of a club that was progressing that whole entire time with girls football, and to be able to be involved in it.
Get right in on the ground floor with it, essentially.
But we didn't have female coaches then. Like, it was...
Leanne's dad,
Leanne's dad, Mick Mulligan. Like, he was amazing though. Like, he supported me personally a lot, but also the team, and he took us up all the way through. And he did a lot for the club. He had the clubhouse built on the pitch, didn't he? And like, that wasn't his job.
No, it's all these unsung heroes though, isn't it? In grassroots football,
absolutely it, unsung heroes. So I had people like that supporting me and to look up to and whatnot, but no female players or coaches or anything.
But you found your role models from within the people you were interacting with, I guess. And was it the same for you as well, Vicky? Did you have any particular role models you were trying to emulate on the pitch, as it were?
Well, if I tell you this, then you'll know I support Kevin Phillips.
That's all right. Yeah.
So I, like Lucy said, there was like, you didn't really have a... Yes, England women played when I was a kid. It was occasionally on the the FA Cup final was on the telly, things like that. But Kevin Phillips was my idol. And Julio Arca when he scored that free kick against Borough, sorry.
But you need those moments like that, and apologies to any Borough fans who are listening, but you do need those moments like that, those moments of inspiration, though, I think, that just help you. Because, when you're getting up to go training, like, regularly during the week, you've got your enjoyment of it. But also, like, that's the sort of thing you can hang on to, isn't it? That, I want to be as good as that. Well,
the biggest change that I saw, it's the first time I've ever heard a kid say this, we set up our under 7s last year, and a little girl came and she wanted to be a goalie from 7-year-old, so that doesn't really happen. And she came and she said, I want to be a goalie because I'm going to be Mary Earps. And I thought,
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah,
like,
that's really good.
And that, like, it probably seems like nothing, but for a kid to say that, it was like, wow, that really is her role model. It never used to happen. Who's your favourite player was never a female footballer, but now it is. So it is nice that they have that, and they have that to look up to.
It really is. I think that's really like empowering and inspiring, actually, for young women in our area, and a really great thing that the Lionesses have done. So what, if we look to the future then, so Lucy, what's your ambition for the future then? How would you like to see the game develop for the future then, or for maybe for young girls or women in our area, or just or nationally?
I think that the snowball effect that's happening at the moment has been, over the last 10, 12 years, it's been really positive. You only need to look at the statistics of how many girls are played now compared to 10 years ago. I think they've doubled the number, and that continues to rise. So I think that what we're doing at the minute is working. We need to continue to push it, and I think that we're slowly being embedded into society more normally as being female coaches or female players, and I think that people's opinions are changing. I think there's a lot of people who 10 years ago would have had the old school opinion of, oh, women can't play football, girls can't play football, women know nothing, they can't be commentators, they can't be coaches, and I think that those people are starting to change their mind, or they change their mind very quickly. I think we've got a little demographic that we need to work on, probably like the older age group, but I think that we're pushing forward with a force, and I think that we need to keep it going. And I think that people are on the ground pushing girls' football at the grassroots level. Vicki does so much for Norton. I've spent 10 years at the grassroots level pushing girls' football. I think it's people like that who need to keep doing what they're doing to keep the growth going in the right direction, and to keep the support going as well, and try not to be kind of put off by the challenges that sometimes we're met with. You've just got to keep pushing through them for the game.
I think you're absolutely right. And so, Lucy, Vicki, I'd really personally like to thank you very much for all the support that you're doing, not just for women and girls football in our area, but just for football, probably the most popular and sort of passionate activity in the whole of the North East. So thank you very much for that. And I absolutely agree with you. You know, women can be not only players but commentators, managers, referees, all of these things. And we, you know, the day we start that, we start to see more of that as well. You know, a woman managing a top class football team. You know, women managing a men's Premier League football team. You know, all of these things, it should be just completely normal and not thought about. So I'd say I'd really like to thank you both for all of the work that you've done. And of course, we should also think about those trailblazers in women's football from the past as well. So thank you both for coming in. So this has been a great discussion all about women's football, particularly in our local area, on the Full Steam Ahead podcast. Of course, you can catch more episodes of the podcast wherever you like to find your podcasts in the future. Bye for now.